Good morning, everyone in Lafayette. I'm your meteorologist, Brian Burden, here with your forecast for June 3rd. It's Wednesday. It's hump day already, and June 3rd, man, and the hot air is a-coming. If you didn't understand what I was talking about when I said moving the numbers up, you're going to see it today, because what we saw yesterday on a lot of the numbers throughout most of the models was temperatures just 75 to 80 every single day, and I kept telling you, sunshine, sunshine, sunshine is going to drive the temperatures up, and eventually our flow is going to shift around to the south to southwest, and we're going to get even warmer. And we were shooting for a day around June 12th for 90 degrees for our first 90-degree day. That may be even earlier now, with some of the models starting to show even more indications that the southwest and southerly flow will kick in and bring in some much warmer weather for us. So we'll get into all the numbers, though. Hopefully you had a beautiful day yesterday. I'm sure many of you worked, and then you came home, and hopefully you're able to have a nice evening. Maybe you sat out on the porch. Maybe you just sat down and watched a little TV and zoned out after work. Who knows what you did. But hopefully you had a good day yesterday, as many people did. All right, it's currently 66 degrees outside. Let me get the full screen up here. Let's go right to it. There's your numbers. 66 degrees. Winds out of the east at 6 miles an hour. It says it feels like 73. Well, unless you're standing in the shade, of course. High temperature today of 85. What did it show yesterday? I think it was 80 or 81, right? So, and I kept telling you, 80 to 85 with the sun. All right, so here we go. Look at all these numbers have been adjusted from yesterday. 85 today, 84 Thursday, 83 Friday, 83 Saturday, 84 Sunday, and then Monday, some 81, a little dent in the temperatures there. And the only real chance of rain looks to be on Saturday at this point. But we've known this, right? That we're going to have a high-pressure system in here. It's going to kind of shift things around, but eventually we would get to the heat. So it's on store, or it's in store for us. How's that? And on par for many of us too, because now when I look out and I see this, the model actually says 88 on Wednesday, the 10th, and then Thursday, the 11th, it shows 90, and the 12th, it shows 87 with some rain. So the farther out you get, obviously, the more changes you get and the more variances we have to go with. But it does look like sometime by next week, we're going to hit a 90-degree mark for the first time, I think. And many of us don't like that. I don't. That's too warm for me. I like it right around 80. 80 is perfect, light wind, and if I can stay in the shade, I feel really good. I don't have any problems. But me, I'm not a heat guy. Now that I'm getting older, maybe parts of me are getting cold all the time, but I am definitely not a heat person at all. Maybe you are, maybe you enjoy it, and you'll enjoy the sunshine that we have in the forecast for you coming up. And it's just going to be one of those beautiful days again outside in Lafayette, and I hope that maybe you had the day off if you are out and about this morning. All right, maybe you've just turned us on. You just whipped it over to the YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. I got to say those. They say that if you don't say the words, people won't do it. I don't know. Like and subscribe. Maybe I should just turn it on and just say like and subscribe for like an hour and see what happens. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? See how many people would flock to the channel and see just what's this guy doing. Say it in about 50 different ways and then just repeat it on loop. Like and subscribe. Subscribe and like. All right, there we go. All right, we got it. Let's see what the satellite picture looks like now in the eastern half of the United States. I'm gonna scribble all over this thing, right? We got a high somewhere right smack dab in the middle of the Midwest, Great Lakes, the eastern half of the United States, and above. Well, actually all of it, right? The coastal sections for sure that we have in there on top of that. And what we are going to be seeing as the day goes on today is more of the same. It looks like I can see a little bit of cloud cover right here that may come in as the day goes on, off and on in spurts. But that's going to be spurts because the big old high right here is just controlling everything. And you can see how the flow, we saw it yesterday. We had a big mass of clouds in the Oklahoma City area up up into southern Kansas, right? And that some of it was going this way and some of it was having to go that way to try to get around the high. And I had drawn a line and said, basically somewhere right here, anywhere this side of that line is going to be dry and warm. And anything this side of the line is going to be warm, but probably wet. That's where your best chances to get wet were. And it just kind of panned out that way yesterday, most of the day, too. Now, what I see today is we're already shifting. You can kind of see where the ridging is going in this direction, maybe even in here a little more, potentially. And then, of course, it's going back off to the east just like that. So we're covered all the way out to Maine right now for good weather at this point. And I see a little bit of fog in the mountains on some of these shots, and that's about it. West Coast hanging high and dry, with all the weather going this direction and then going up into Canada and back around. That kind of like that is what it's doing. And then the weather down here is now caught on to the tropical jet stream down to the south. We'll have to figure out all these different nuances of all these different things. But a few clouds, a few more than they normally see out on the West Coast. And I do happen to have a friend out there today who's out seeing family out there. So hopefully he enjoys good weather out there in the I think he's in the San Joaquin Valley. They live in the valley out there somewhere. So, and that's the big valley. That's the big valley up that stretches up and down the entire portion of California. All right, so let's zoom in a little closer. All right, we've seen the big picture. Here's a big old high. It's controlling the eastern half of the United States. We've got brackets kind of where weather can't get to, right? Just like that, there's weather. Can't get into that spot. Can't get in here. There's a spot where there is some weather right in here. And normally we would say, oh, good, this is just going to sweep in. This might come up this way. But it's not going to happen because the high is too strong right now. So let's zoom in a little closer. Let's see a little bit of the regional aspect of this. What does it look like when you get in closer? Lafayette's right here. What's the first thing you notice that I tell you to notice? Look at how dark the temperatures get around us. Remember, this is an infrared of the temperatures. It's taking a picture of the temperatures. So, obviously, when you get above about 60 degrees, you get into these blacks already. And sure enough, early this morning, here we are. The grays are probably the 50s. Maybe the low 60s, right? Because that's a potential there. And then as soon as the sun gets on it, everything starts to warm up, and you see that really easily. All right, so, and then our batch of clouds is right about here. This one does look like it's diving kind of like this one, and this one looks like it's going straight east, does it not to you? Probably does to you too. And there could be a shower or two mixed in with this right up here to the north, but you got to be going to Wisconsin to find that. And then obviously I do think that you're probably seeing some, not only just temperatures, but some fog along the Appalachian Mountains, all the way from Georgia all the way into New York, it looks like at this point, okay? And fog and colder temperatures. Look at how the lakes stand out with temperatures. Look how cold the water is up to the north and into Lake Huron. You can even see some of it on Lake Ontario over here. Not so much on Lake Erie. It's warmed up already a little bit in the southern portion of Lake Michigan. Of course, we've had plenty of warm weather to allow that to happen, all right? So that's where we're at close in. Let's get in real close here. I'll see what we can find. If we can see anything that pops up to us. Nothing really just jumps out at me here. It's the same kind of flow. We're not seeing anything that's changing our minds on what we're going to do with our forecast. We go to the day cloud phase, kind of comes up. You can see it pretty easily. Nope, I didn't miss it. I missed it. There we go. All right, so there's the visual portion of it, and then it enhances the high clouds just a little bit so you can see them pretty easily. And then you can see some of the lower and mid clouds just kind of zipping along in spots, but they're very few and far between right now. And there's one more look. We can go it even closer. Closer! There we go. And there's where we can pick up the Wabash Valley. All right, right there. Lafayette right in this spot along the river right there where she bends. You know, you think to yourself, why do people put towns in certain places? The Wabash is easy. The water was right here, right? The whole county is full of water, especially the northern half of it. And you can see why they would put a city right there in that exact spot. All right, so not much there on that front. Obviously, not much to see on the radar either, anywhere near us. So we'll kind of can skip over that and head right to some of the models and see what we're doing on those fronts. And we're going to start with what? Our big old high. There it is. You can see it right there. This is set up for 9 o'clock in the morning, June 3rd. There we go. We have it all set up. The first thing I noticed is, first off, it's not up here, right? It's farther south than what it said, so it's more like here. Right, there's where your high is, right there. Okay, so that's where that we're seeing on that front. That's the first thing. And that means our angles for our winds are going to change. When the high's up here, we're going to get more of a northeasterly to an easterly flow. When the high gets right in here, now we're starting to pick up southeasterlies, right, at least for the short period. And as the high moves off, it gives way a little bit, or at least reorientates itself. Then we'll see a shift to maybe some southwesterly flow eventually as the week goes on during this week. All right, so here we go. Let's see what we've got today. Now, remember, the HER is just the short range. It's going to go out about 48 hours from now. It's a little less than that because this model's a little older. But I'll imagine we're going to see some reorientation here because we talked about that yesterday. And then so the high kind of disappears off the map, or maybe it goes into Ohio a little bit. The exact center doesn't mean much, but what we can see pretty easily is by this evening, now we're starting to get a flow like this, right? Okay, so now that's a warmer flow, right? That's going to be a warmer flow most of the time. And then everything kind of reorientates. So instead of the line of moisture being like on this side, right? This side, no rain. This side, rain, right? Now we're starting to tilt it where it's going like this, right? Rain, no rain. But we happen to be in the happy spot where there's no rain, if you like that, all right? So that's already starting to orientate itself here Wednesday going into Thursday in the middle portions of the week. And you can see how the showers stay up there and they move around us, right? And we've seen this pattern a couple times, but for very short periods, not long periods where we've seen big highs come in and control. And sure enough, by tomorrow morning into Friday morning, this is Friday morning at 2 o'clock in the morning, nothing's there. Everything is up. And everything on this side of the line could be rain. Everything on this side is probably dry and warm. But the flow is still southwest, right? Well, the flow is southwest here. Why isn't that? Well, where's this going to go? If you've developed your biggest pocket of rain over here, it's going to kind of go off on a trajectory like that around the high, which is now off the chart, but it's set itself up down here to our south east, right? And that's the angle for warm weather. Right, there you go, just like that. And the wind's coming in from the southwest. So that's where it is, at least early on, right? Let's take a look at what the NAM nest adds to this. Only adds a few hours, but look at the rains, maybe slightly different. But look at the flow is exactly the same. Coming around from the southwest. This is into Friday. And then it shows the front, which has the potential to get here on Saturday. This front is right in here right now, trying to head towards Lafayette. Friday, this is in the afternoon hours, all right? But it's still being stubborn. It's hard to get past the inclinations and the full force of that high that's in the area. So a lot of your weather is still out here like this. Anything this direction, rain. Anything this direction, obviously dry for a little bit. Now let's add in the GFS. Now the GFS has it up here. It looks very weak. This is this dark green stuff here. That's what we think is strength with the GFS model. Let's go back a couple shots and see if anything's changed. It looks the same. Everything's going around it, right? But it starts to give way a little bit. By Friday, you think, with that rain, oh man, it's over here in Iowa. It's got a chance to get here, but it does just continue around to our north, and it misses us. And then by Friday evening, not much is happening. There you go. Saturday morning, it's going to be allowed to get in here. Now, I know there's a lot of baseball games, practices, things like that going this Saturday, and there's enough darkness in here. Now, the good news here is this is 5 in the morning, right? So maybe it rains out quick and early like that early, and we'll see what happens here by the next one. There you go, 8 o'clock. It still shows the rain a good batch, and you can draw the line on this pretty easily right here where the front is, right? Or the tail end of it is back here. The actual front is back here, so you've got a low, right? And then it looks like you've got a cold front that stretches into a stationary front that goes into a warm front. And this would be your stationary area. And the moisture is south of here that's become uncoupled I like that word. That was a good word we used in forecasting school, and then uncoupled from the regime of the actual frontal boundary. But this frontal boundary is falling apart, all right? And then so the low over here is reorientating itself, getting ready to try to make a bid to come in too. But the high is going to take right back over, I think, if everything's like it was yesterday. So there's Saturday. Now here you are at 1 in the afternoon. So it's just, there's not much there. 2 in the afternoon, give or take a little bit. There we go. Oh, there's 8. There's 11. Got my numbers mixed up. And it shows most of the rain holding off of us after the scattered rains in the morning. But there you go. There's your chance right there in the evening hours, right? So now we're getting into 8 o'clock. We'll call it anywhere from 5 to like 8. You're going to have a chance for some showers coming off of that as that system kind of pushes and the low pushes this direction, gets away from us, all right? And then everything falls apart as it comes into the high. And the southern portion of Indiana doesn't get anything. We could stay right there just in that scattered off and on showery precipitation through Saturday into Sunday morning. And then Sunday morning still shows a little chance for some rain there. And then Monday, here's your next decent shot. And this does come up from the south a little bit more, right? You're seeing the rain there along with that system. But I think the low that this is associated with is way up to the northwest over there. So it's tapped into some moisture from the Gulf of America, everybody. The Gulf of America, but the weather's really nice. And then Tuesday, I see a kind of unsettled area, at least for a time being, where we tap into the Gulf and maybe get, because of the heat, right? We know it's going to get hot. We were already talking 80s to maybe even 90s, right? 90s, there you go, right there, 90s over us by Wednesday, and this is Wednesday, but it also shows scattered thunderstorms, and whenever you're going to get heat like this and you're going to get moisture added into it, you're going to have the potential for some thunderstorms, all right? And then it moves along pretty easily. Then there's Wednesday. Wednesday looks wet. That looks pretty wet at times. We see better chances for rain during that time frame. And then it moves on to Thursday where we're still warm. And what I don't see here is the high really setting up again like it did yesterday. Okay? I'm not saying there isn't high pressure over here. I'm just saying we don't have this big old bulging high keeping everything away from us. It's allowing some of the moisture to get in here. Matter of fact, it's kind of being even funneled towards us, but it's sporadic. It's in patches. It's 50 miles here, and then it's 200 miles before you find another patch, and then it's another 50 miles, you find another patch, right? And then finally, what's this, June 14th, a front tries to sweep in from the north, but it just falls apart as it comes through. So I see a bit more rain in the forecast here, not as high and dry as we were. Now we have the high setting up for the June 15th week, right? The 15th, 16th, starting right back into the high. Setting up and keeping us high and dry during that time frame. I'm moving along here. This is Wednesday now. We're going into Thursday, and you can kind of see where everything's at on that front, and it lets up. So it seems like we've had somewhat of a change in our forecast. Our forecast for today and the next couple of days is still the same. All right, high pressure over here, all the rain out over here. And the angle's changed a little bit. Instead of here being dry here and wet here, now the angle is more over here, right? And it's mostly dry here and mostly wet here, right? So that's kind of the angles have changed for a few days. But what have we seen as a change? Not the actual warmth, although they picked the big-time warmth up for next week, right? But here we are in Tuesday into Wednesday. What we're seeing is a flow of funneling of showers and thunderstorm potential coming maybe in waves at times next week, right? Now, we need the rain. We need the rain in Lafayette. Maybe Indianapolis doesn't need the rain because they were in the funnel of where most of the rain went during the spring, but Lafayette does need the rain, and a lot of the areas around Lafayette, Tippecanoe County, and the counties around us need plenty of rain. So that's something we definitely need to think about. And we definitely need to have in our forecast. Generally, we want something in this time of the year, maybe every 2 or 3 days, right? Because of the spring. But we're getting out of spring, heading towards summer. The unofficial meteorological summer was June 1st, right? The actual summer, with the summer solstice, is June like 21st, right? Or sometimes they bump those numbers around. It's 21st, 22nd, 21st, 22nd. It's in that area right there. The 21st usually is what you get. If you put a 21 on it, most of the time you're going to hit it. All right, so we're getting into more of a funneling type weather where it's coming in closer to us, right? And then so we're starting to see some of the weather getting in here from the Gulf of America. And if we change the chart and we went down here, like we showed the Gulf, can we get Texas, almost get us to that? That's pretty close to getting Lafayette in there. All right. So here it is on the first few days. This is the same thing. See how the ridging's going in all the way out to Texas, right? Nothing. The Gulf is tapped off. It's going. If anything's there, it's going this direction right now. All right, because the high is right here and it's tapping everything off. Now this is Friday morning, so I didn't even show you Tuesday and Wednesday. Look at that. See the highs right there. And then here we go into Friday, and then. You notice some of the moisture was able to get up and around, right? So that moisture is being pushed towards Lafayette, and it may not get here as rain. It may just be moisture, but it'll add to anything that's in the area, right? Obviously. And then there we go. Look at this, how the Gulf kind of opens up. Look at the flow here. Okay, now the high is over here off the chart, but it's over here, and the flow is now opened up, and you're starting to see moisture showers coming in, and then eventually moving their way right up the Mississippi, hence why the Mississippi can be so wet and why the Mississippi is probably there, is this kind of flow just like this, which we frequently see many times during the year. Hence the Mississippi flows like it does. It's not a coincidence that, or it is definitely, is it a coincidence or not a coincidence if it actually happens because it's there? I'm not sure. I'm getting confused on the wording on that, all right? But look at this. Flows just like this. Flows just like this. This is Sunday, all right? This is Sunday, all right? That on June 7th. There we go. Got it on there. And then we move forward. What do we still see? We still see flow to the north, flow to the north, flow to the north. It's being cut a little bit because it's moving from the east to the west a little bit at the beginning, but it does turn itself to the north, and it moves right up the Mississippi Valley right there. All right, and then as you continue forward, you see where are all the rain showers? Wow, right in the Mississippi Valley. All right, right there. That's where all your rain contains for next week, and that's where all your moisture is coming up, even if a high-pressure system is there. All right, the high is helping to push it around it. There you go. And you just keep moving that. That train keeps moving during the week next week, and that looks like it turns itself off. Notice this? Look at that. Your flow is now going out this direction, right? So now the second high is starting to set up, and our flow is now getting back away from the, instead of going north, it's moving along the area, even moving to the southeast, it looks like, or southwest from the northeast. There you go. All right, and it moves along, and we're kind of shut off from the Gulf again for a while. Okay, and then it just turns warm, though, because it's warm, and the skies are open, and we don't have much rain the following week, so it stays warm the following week. Not as warm, but we're probably talking low 80s again to mid 80s for the following week, and we haven't even looked at those numbers yet, right? So let's go back to the HER real quick here. We go back to the HER, and we come back into today. All right, let's see how much of the new model's in. Select me some data. I've spazzed it out too much. All right, well, let's turn this thing off. All right, so here we go. We're going to try to run the model. Oh, it wants me to. I've lost something. I've overdone it a little too much. Scotty, we've got a problem. All right, let's go to the HER model. There it is, Captain. I've given her everything she's got. All right, let's take a look at the select run for 12Z on the 56%. So that's going to give us about a day, right? And then we'll switch over to the GFS and we'll see what happens. Let's look at the big picture first. when we look at the temperatures real quick, and then we'll zoom in closer, all right? So there's the high, very easily seen, right? Nothing's changed there. We move along. We see that our flow has, during the day today, actually shifts to the southeast a little more, which will allow warmer temperatures to come in. Plus, we got open skies. So here we go. Now look at the models finally catching up to old Brian Burden, the forecaster with all those years on his bones. 45 years in the weather field, and you can't see the warmth. It was telling you that it was going to do this, and it's been doing it. All right, so we're right on track. All right, so there, and then we don't see any big changes. It cools off overnight, stays pretty warm tomorrow morning, and then it only goes out through about mid-afternoon tomorrow. There you go, 16Z, which is, come on guys, you got it. That's noon. You are correct. 80 degrees by noon tomorrow. All right, what's it say by noon today? Let's go. 76 by noon today is what it's saying. So you can see some pretty good temperatures in there. All right, so now let's put the GFS on here and see what its numbers say in the big scroll of the world of the numbers, okay? And I'm going to go in close here on this one. Let's see what it is saying. It's got us right now. Here we are, Wednesday, 15 Zulu in the morning. All right, and then you've got everything you're going to get. So that is boom. There it is. There's 11 o'clock. Then we go to 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 76 degrees, and it's probably going to be just under the numbers we saw, right? But it's still going to be warm. And then it tops us out at around 77 or so. So this tells me we're going to get into the 80s, low 80s, right? Maybe not that 85 the model showed, but maybe. We're talking some pretty good temperatures here because now we're out of the south by the time the afternoon comes here today. It's very weak. It's not a real strong southerly wind, but we are out of the south by that time frame, all right? So I can see the wind barbs right here, going right here, right up next to Lafayette. And you can see the 77 there, 76 Crawfordsville, 78 up in Rensselaer, all right, for this afternoon. All right, so, but remember, the GFS works better days out, not in the first couple of days, at least in my opinion. That's why we used the HER for a couple days in, all right? All right, tomorrow it shows a high of 80, but we know the HER is going to be warmer than this because the HER already showed 81 or 2 for just, this morning getting into the afternoon hours already. So we can expect more of the same for tomorrow to be even warmer than what this is showing. This is showing 80 in Rensselaer and 78 in Lafayette. Well, that would be great. But how are you going to do that if your flow is like this? You are not going to do that. You are going to warm up. All these temperatures here back down towards the south of us will be a couple degrees warmer, and we will be a couple to 3 to 5 degrees warmer than what this says here also, all right? That's what you need to keep your mind on. But let's take a look at the trends here. The trends is warm right there. It keeps showing us lower 80s, right, is what it shows. You bump that a few degrees. At least it's coming more online of what I told you was going to happen. You can almost see the wedge trying to get at us like we talked about too, right? So that one's going to be unfurled by the chances of showers in different places. So you got cloud cover here, there's showers there. You got cloud covers all over here probably with showers too, because we know Saturday's the day weather's going to try to come up and you're going to combine the two forces and make a little bit of showery activity, maybe even some thunderstorm activity. Maybe as early as Friday, but chances are good that Friday it all stays out here. To our west, all right? So, and it misses us until late Friday night into Saturday morning, and then we start picking up our chances. Okay, so now here we are on Sunday. It shows us getting pretty warm pretty fast there on Sunday, but then it stops us right there at 83. So you're talking like 85. And then, again, this could be some more showery activity. So all next week looks to be a little bit more rain in and out, not the dry hotness that it showed just yesterday and the day before. Starting to pick up more moisture for next week for us. So these numbers will be more humid. There we are on Monday. We're talking about 80 degrees it shows. So I'm going 80 to 85, right? I'm going to bump that a little bit depending on cloud cover. And now, so next week we're going to have more clouds. So there'll be this odd day where all of a sudden we hit 87 and you'll be like, whoa, we hit 87. But there won't be much for clouds, right? And then there'll be the odd day where we only have a high of 80, but we rain 3 times during the day. That's what we'll see as we go through next week. Very typical early summer type weather, really. It is. It's warm. There's still some scattered showers and a few thunderstorms around. Probably not a big chance for severe weather because it doesn't line up with the jet stream, which is trying to move to the north, right, this time of the year. And then sure enough, here we go. There's some 80s right there on Friday next week. It's still showing upper 80s in my forecast mind. Okay, so it said the hottest temp was going to be on the 11th, right? Well, look at the 11th. This says 21Z on the 11th. It's only 79 degrees. How can that be so hot? But look at the direction of the winds. They're perfect for it. So the GFS is still way off on temperatures, but it's got all the trends right. So that's what makes forecasting hard, right? When here the model says 81 and you know it's going to be 85 to 87 that day. How do you get that across to people? Because what you guys see on your little apps are these numbers right here on the page, right? You're seeing these numbers. You're not getting the forecasting head up on that. Hey, it's going to be warmer than that. So you get the guys coming out of college know a lot about thunderstorms and activity and different things. They know some things I don't know for sure, but they don't have a clue to not look at 81 and think it's not going to be 81. Where I look at that, and a forecaster that's been around looks at that and says, 81 next Friday? You got to be kidding me. Unless it's raining, that's going to be 85 to 87 with this big southerly flow coming in here, right? So, that's the way we look at it. And that's just from years of experience of looking at it. Knowing that the GFS is long-range numbers are usually a little lower, right? And then knowing that if you switch it over to the European model, right, during that same time frame, you get exaggerated temperatures. Look at this. What's going on here in the European? You notice I haven't been showing you the European much in the last month because sometimes it's a little wacky. Well, look at this. This has a cut dry line right here. Is it raining back in here? Or is there a front? And this is showing a front coming down next Friday towards us, right? And very warm temperatures out in front. That could be the exact thing that happens, right? We definitely could see that kind of thing. But I can see the front right there. Well, that was totally different than what the GFS was showing, right? This, I'm liking the temperatures. But I've told you in the past, the European models tends to be a little overdone sometimes. So you got one model that's under, one model that's over sometimes, or most of the time. We'll call it more than half the time the GFS is under in the summer and the European is over in the summer. That's how it kind of works. So how do I find the happy medium, right? Where do I find that? It says 86. I'd probably go for 85. It would be closer this time of the year anyway. I'm going to shoot for that kind of stuff on that and on that frame, all right? But if you keep going out, there's some more 85s there at the end of next week. All right, so we're a week and a half out now at this point, and lots of 80-degree temperatures, and then it actually starts to cool off. Now, that's the European model. What's the European model say in close, like for today, right? Okay, so here's Wednesday. It says it's got a pocket of 80 to 82. At least this is closer to what I would think, right? And what I do see is lots of open sky here, right? Any place like this, probably a little bit more cloud cover. But we know there's no clouds basically east of the Mississippi. They're all west of the Mississippi except for one couple little stretches of some cirrus that are coming through and maybe a couple showers up in Wisconsin, right? So 80 to 82. Not too bad for the European model. Pretty close to what we think. At least I think it'll be a couple degrees warmer than that, right? Tomorrow, it says right around 82 to 84 again. Rensselaer's 84. We're 82. At least this is more on par what it could be and what the HER is showing, which is the HER is built for the first 2 days, right? The European and the GFS is built for longer range, right? And they all have their problems and their pluses and their minuses. But the European model is coming closer online with its temperatures now, at least as of late. So what does it show as the week goes on? Here we go. Friday, it shows 80, 81, 82 in there, right? And then there's a pocket of maybe some 85s it shows. Well, what's that mean? Look at still, our flow is right here, south to southwest, right? So it's still a warm flow. It's going to pull it up. Just depends on the cloud cover. All right, then it moves out to Saturday. Now, Saturday, we definitely know there should be some rain in here. And look at this. You can see this pocket right here, right, where it's in the 70s. That 70s is definitely cloud cover and about where the rain was setting up. And then it showed a couple little streaks of rain as this system tried to come down. It still pops us up to 88 on that day, right, on Saturday before the rain gets here on Saturday night. More distinctively Saturday night. Now, what are the effects during the evening Friday? And Saturday morning doesn't look like, you can't see a whole bunch there. But you can see a little bit on Friday night when the showers come, because you can see some cloud cover right here, right? Probably during that time frame, and the temperatures are getting dropped just a little bit. Not really something you see as much at night during the summer, all right? But there you go. Look at that. That's obvious that there's rain here. And so let's go take a look at it. Precipitation. SLP, there it is. Look at that. Big old swath of rain. That's where it says the rain's going to be on Saturday. Let's take a look at what it says for Saturday. Okay. So here we are Friday night. Well, here we go. Got our days. There we go. Friday night, we see some thunderstorms out to the north. And when I looked at the SPC earlier, it was obviously nothing over the eastern half of the United States today and tomorrow. And then Friday, it brought some thunderstorm activity in, something like this, anything there. And then it just gave a slight chance for thunderstorms right up to Lafayette's door, which is right here. Right, but you can see the thunderstorms here late in the afternoon off to our north, and you notice they stay there pretty much, right? Your darker, more intense areas is where you're really looking for precipitation out of this. And then so the European model then does try to drag some weather down into us overnight, but it misses most of us. And then it does pop up another line of showers, probably a few thunderstorms late on Saturday. But most of Saturday it has dry at this point. This one right here. Right there at 15Z, which is 11 o'clock. That's the one you got to worry about. Maybe it's tied itself up like something like that, right? With rain. Is there rain coming in and out along a line like that with the system? And that could mean something here, although it shows nothing over us during that time frame. It's all south, east of us. All right. And then we go through this to see if it's kind of rainy during the week. We'll go out a little bit, right? We need to go back out so we can see the whole picture. See the whole picture? All right, there. And then we go back and we look at it a little bit, come in. So we still see our systems, everything's shifted, and our flow is now around, and there's the line, right? This side is dry, this side is wet. This is out to Friday morning. We know the high is over here somewhere. It's already shifted itself down. South and east is where it's gone, and that's allowed a big-time southerly flow and westerly flow to come into us. So there we go. But then Friday, it brings a slight chance, runs up to our doorstep, and then kind of disappears. And then Saturday, it's just kind of wishy-washy. It looks kind of like a front could go like this, right? And maybe there's a little something in there with a trough, but it kind of falls apart. And then they fire back up in the evening and into the night, Saturday night into Sunday morning. And then it kind of pushes through, dries us out a little bit, right? And then back comes some more rain, maybe Sunday night, but that kind of falls apart. Now, what do we have over here again? We have another high, not as strong. The line is more like here now, where it's dry this way and wet that way, all right? And is it going to try to reset the high up? Let's see what it does. And I mean, it does. It's holding all the rain off. You can see the funnel of rain is right here. It's not very far from us, though. But the GFS said it was very muddled. You saw dots and spots all over the place, where this has a more distinct pattern of where the rain is going to be, which is just out to our west and just slight chances for us in Illinois and into Indiana. All right. And then there you go, your best chance maybe out by Wednesday. So is this more of what we're going to see? We also see another thing happening here. All right. So you come back to this point, we see our flow is going like this. We know we're tapping into the Gulf of Mexico down here somewhere, right? Go down farther. Obviously, that's Tennessee. We know that. And so then there's showers all along this corridor right here, right? Up through the Mississippi, right along the Mississippi. I should say by next week, if the Mississippi's low, it's going to be back to normal by the end of next week or the week after. You know, there's always a delay after the rain for rivers to go up usually. Okay, but our flow is what? It's out of the south and due south, right? And even over here, it's keeping the rain kind of off of us. Well, that is on Tuesday. But by Wednesday, Thursday, what happens? Now you can see the shift again, right? Now the shift is coming southwest to northeast again. Here we go. And now our rain is up over here. The high is kind of dictating what's going on later in the latter portions of next week, and we stay kind of high and dry for a while. Okay, there we go. There's Friday. It tries to bring in some scattered stuff, and then a big batch of something overnight Friday night into Saturday next week. All right, so that's where that is at this point, precipitation. And then it goes out through Sunday into Monday, another scattered chance for some rains. And then there's a big batch that comes in from the north. And this may be where we see a change from the European model doing this, and the GFS did not do that. What did it do the following week? It brought in a big high again and dried everything out, okay? So we'll have to see what happens here. That looks pretty nasty right there. I see a lot of inclement weather right in here especially. I see thunderstorms, right? There could be potentials in there. Lots of rain. We even have some ISO heights that are diving down with cooler temperatures in here. So definitely something we got to watch out for the following week. But, man, 10 days out, 12 days out, come on. We're not going to hit this stuff perfectly, right? So the difference between the two models. The GFS is more rainy next week a little bit, but still warm and getting real hot. The European is hot through the whole period, but it brings in a lot more rain or less rain next week. It has a corridor set up over the Mississippi instead of over Indiana or just bringing stuff in and around us. And then the following week, it gets really rainy, and the GFS does the opposite, right? But they don't go out the same distances. So if you come in here and you track this on the GFS, there we go, and you go to the same time frame, you can see where the rain is there. But I want to go to the winter precipitation. And look at that. That gives me an indication that there's only really some rain up here and around here. And then what does it do on its extension out? It continues with the southwesterly flow letting it in. But before that, it had been rather dry for a few days. See that? There's not much, just dots of pop-up thunderstorm here or there, right? And that could happen anywhere. Look at that, Monday, and it was rainy on the other model, right? Rainy. So the two have switched patterns and gone away from each other as we go through the weekend here. And the European wants us drier next week and hotter. The GFS wants us wetter but still hot. And then the following week, European goes wet and the GFS goes dry. So they're kind of opposites of each other. You don't see that a lot. A lot of times you see timing changes and you'll see big temperature differences. One will be 85 and the other one will show 92, right? You see a lot of that with the model run. So how do you get numbers and get them out to people and tell people what's going on if you see all these different numbers like that? And that's where it makes it really tough. Well, what do we definitely see? It's going to be warmer next week. It's going to be warm the following week, right? And what I mean by warm is our averages are going to be are generally around 85 by the middle of June, okay? So next week we're going to be 85 to 90, maybe even 95 is a slight risk in a couple spots, right? On a few days next week as we pump in some of the southerly flow. If we get a day or two without any rain over us or anything near us, then we're going to pump that temperature right up to 90 quick. And then maybe we'll bump into 92 or 93, something like that. So there's that potential there. But by the middle of June, say, or the end of June, that whole period, our high should be 85 anyway. So we're back to near normal on those temperatures, unless, one model's more than the other. So I've given you two scenarios with two different models for next week and the following week because they totally, to me, look different trend-wise. Remember, trend-wise. That's what we're looking for on those longer range models. All right. Okay, so let's come back to the HER again. Let's see how much more of the HER has come in here. HER, the new model now has 87% in. So let's take a look at the rain. Did it get any closer to us? No, it did not. It just pops up a scattered light shower into Illinois by Friday morning at, 3 o'clock in the morning. There's just a scattered shower there, so nothing there. But this tail end over here, is that going to sweep into us Friday night into Saturday? Because right now, still at this point, Friday morning, the line of this is dry, and everything here has potential to be wet. All right, and all you got to do is go back a little bit to here, and what do we see? The only difference is it's over here a little bit more. Everything east of that is dry. Everything west of that is wet. Okay, and then watch how the progression comes. And that's because the high is right here, right? The high is right here controlling everything. And the high switches from more of a easterly wind today to maybe more of a southeasterly wind this afternoon. And then by tonight, we're southerly, and that will start to warm us up, right? Okay, each and every day we'll get a little warmer. And let's look at the temperatures on here, because I don't think we actually looked at the temperatures on the HER. And let's come in close, only because we want to see what the numbers say right here on Lafayette. All right, so yesterday we saw temperatures and highs on your other models, like if you go back to what the current temperature is and you look at that MSN numbers, it just showed 78 and 80, right? Were the numbers for about 5 days. Today, totally different, 83 to 85, right? Back right where I told you we would be warmer. Again, no cloud cover today, so it's going to warm up. It's going to warm up again. And our winds are shifting southerly. So here we are. By 2 o'clock, it's already 81 degrees. By 3 o'clock, 82. Lafayette's right here. That's the 82 I'm looking at right now. And look at the wind barb. It's due south. So it puts the wind speed on the end and it points to where it's going. All right. That's how you read a wind barb pretty easily. We work with fromies. The winds are from the south. Right. All right. Let's see. I lost my train of thought. There we go. Okay, so 21Z, which is what time? It is 5 in the afternoon. That's about when we peak this time of the year. It's around 5 o'clock. It shows 83, and it shows that for a couple hours on today, right? So there you go. Yesterday it showed 80. Today it's showing 83, actually. So it's come up 3 full degrees in just one day. But who told you yesterday that it was going to do that and it was going to be higher? Yes, moi. I'm not saying that I know anything. It's just been doing it forever, right? So this is where just getting the numbers on your app change so much, and lots of people get confused because the forecaster has to read into what that says and what it does, all right, on a daily basis. That's what we have to do. All right, so let's move along here real quick, and you see, look how warm it is, 83, 82, drops off overnight to down around 60, not bad. 59, we're going to get 58, and all the way to 57. Oh, that was it. Stopped at 57 tomorrow morning. So it'll be a little chilly tomorrow morning. But we do see the winds are coming out of the south and southwest again, right? Here we are. Right there. That's a warm wind. It's a warm wind blowing, Captain. And then we move along and we see the high tomorrow. There we are at noon. It's 79. It's 81 by 1 o'clock. By 2 o'clock, it's 82. 83. Look at that pocket. Look at this. There's mid to upper 80s in this pocket right here. Almost looks like a diamond in the rough, doesn't it? A diamond in the rough right there. And then put some, I don't know. It doesn't look like a diamond in the rough. Sorry about that, guys. But 19Z showing us at 83, 84 by 20. And then when do we peak? We usually peak around 5 o'clock, which is 21Z. You're at 84 here, 86 in Rensselaer. I would imagine there's plenty of sunshine, and then it starts cooling off overnight. What do we get down to Friday morning? Do we get that far out? We do. We get close. Looks like it's 62 at about 4 o'clock in the morning. So you're talking the same thing, right around 60 for your low. Let's check out the cloud cover. We know that there's not going to be much there, right? There's just not going to be a lot of cloud cover. Okay, so let's go back to our time frame today. So here we are now. We only see 2 little strips on our satellite over here of what you're seeing is the cloud cover, right? But then it builds it a little bit and thickens it up and brings it across us. To me, that's a bit of an over-exaggeration, but maybe it will be. What that will lead to is around, let's call it, 0. That's 8 o'clock tonight. That'll lead to some beautiful sunsets right there. 8 to 9 o'clock, you'll get some great colors out of the clouds. Be a great time to send me a picture. Send me a picture. If you are watching this right now and you're up tomorrow this evening, and you get a chance, send me a picture. We'll show it on the air tomorrow. Because I know all 3 of you watching have cameras. And then a mixture of some clouds early morning Thursday, maybe some more starting to pick up Thursday afternoon as our next system approaches us, but still stays off to the west. And that's probably all just high clouds moving through. And while it says overcast, it will be a bit better. All right, so I've trolled you enough for the time being. Let's check out the cameras real quick around the region. And I'm going to turn the little swashbuckling paint kit off here. First thing I want to do is I want to look at Rensselaer up here to the north. I want to see how the traffic is doing on the construction area. Looks pretty good today. Not much. The traffic's pretty low there, considering what it has been. And then you can see the sunshine pretty well. And we can see the cirrus off on the horizon very well, can't we? Really good picture here today from the Rensselaer area. There's that awesome camera, which is now pointed towards the south. This does look like it's to the south a little bit. It looks like the sun is up over here somewhere, right? It seems like I know that spot. I've probably been there a couple times. Junction North. That's the 231 junction to the north. And they've been moving this camera around a little bit because we're getting some really good pictures on it. There's the Remington exit, right? There we go. Looking pretty nice there. More of the same at the 24 side and the 231 South junction. We don't see much of the sky, but we see plenty of sunshine on the ground, so we know it's good. We know we haven't seen any rain. 43 actually shows the sky a little bit. Look at this. State Road 43 right here in Lafayette on the north side of town. Looks good. Same for State Road 25, looking back towards 43. I don't see any cirrus on the horizon. It's not. Maybe we're a little too far south. Let's see what the better camera over here on 26. You can see the cirrus everywhere on that. Stands out pretty well. So a really good picture there. 38 shows a little bit of cirrus up on the top, but generally speaking, and remember, cirrus is way up in the atmosphere. Way up in the atmosphere. It creates pretty clouds. It's where your contrails are with your planes, that kind of thing. All right, and there's State Road 28 to the south. Looks pretty nice. Let's go back in. We got to go back out and do our Fowler cam count, don't we? Yes, we do. Oh, and there's a semi. Do we count that as 2? No, we only count it as 1. 1 today keeps the average right at 1, and I wish I had kept track of this, but it's pretty easily just 1 vehicle on this spot every time we take a picture. I can see some cirrus out here, though, too, on the Fowler cam, way out there. Let's go downstate a little bit. Let's go Terre Haute, Covington first. Oh, they moved the camera. Yes, great. They moved the camera. Looks nice. You see the cirrus out there. This camera has been pointing at the bridge embankment for ever since we've been doing this, all right? Let's go down to Terre Haute, see if we can pick up that nice north camera. There you go. It's on the Curly Q Road, and you got some cirrus out there. Looks like a nice day there, too, for them. So things look good on those fronts. I think we got one more camera. Let's come back up towards Lafayette. There's a camera in Frankfort. Nope, it's not showing anything. That doesn't help us, does it? How about just north of Kokalaki? There you go. US 31 looking pretty good. Looking a little worn out these days with lots of tar on there as you go through. But pretty quiet morning over there. And then I think we got the one in Logansport. Unfortunately, it usually faces towards the sun, so you get the shine off of here. They were redoing the road out there, and this would be, what, 24 all the way over? Yeah, this is 24. And they're repaving some of the road. Yesterday, we saw the actual crews out here yesterday. If you checked in, y'all, yesterday. Now, we know everything's nice in Lafayette, but let's take a look at it anyway. Look at that. Isn't that nice and sweet out by the Walmart on the north side of town in West Lafayette? And then, okay, I'll do it. I'll bite to see if they changed the River Road camera, but they didn't. See? There you go. I think it's aliens coming in. There's just some circles and bombs, and I don't know. There's just no sun. You don't see any sun. You don't see the clouds. And then the River Road, where it crosses 52 and 231, where that all comes together down there, looks really nice. And then out at the mall looks pretty good too. So let's go back to our temperatures. We are already up to 72 now here early this morning. You notice this, I think, even shifted from 84 to 85. Oh, look at that. 93 tomorrow. Remember? I wouldn't be surprised. I was shooting for the 12th. But the numbers were so cold in these first few days that I was always telling you it was going to be at least 80 to 85. Well, look at this. That's a change. 93 tomorrow, huh? I got to see. I didn't notice that on any of the models. Did any of you guys see that? Yeah. So there, 93 tomorrow. That's out of the ordinary there. That might be a little too much. We're going to get warm, but 93 is pushing it. 90 maybe. 90 maybe, okay? And then it cools back off, and then it gets warm. Sundays are warm again. So they haven't changed a ton here on this. There's the time frame we were looking at, 11, 12, 13 next week. And so we'll see what happens if we get that first 90 degrees by the 11th, or maybe the 10th. That day's going to be warm enough. Sunday, the 7th, will be warm enough to be close to that. But this is saying tomorrow, 93 degrees. Now I got to go back and look at the chart real quick, right? What's going on for 93 tomorrow? All right. Surface temperatures. Let's take a look at it. Here's your chart, Charlie. There we go. Okay. I almost fell asleep, didn't you? Okay, here's Thursday. What is this? The HER says, well, it does have the pocket of upper 80s going right into Chicago, the talk of the town. But it only shows us around 84, 85. Now, there's also, you notice that there is a pack of cooler temperatures down here. Well, why would there be cooler temperatures south of us, Brian? Why would that happen? Well, cloud cover or rain, right? So is there a thicker batch of cirrus down here to keep the temperature cooler here? And meanwhile, the pocket of some 90, look at there's 90 there, 88 in Chicago. Why would that not get to us either? And I would always question that in my own mind because I see this strong southerly flow coming up, and I don't expect a ton of cloud cover tomorrow. But this makes me think that the cloud cover to the south is looked to be a little thicker, so that's why they're stopping us at 84, 85 tomorrow. But the run, maybe it's the European model. Let's take a look at the new European, see if it's out yet. It has not even started yet, at least of what we get of it. Or maybe the GFS. Let's take a look at it. Has it got 12Z? No 12Z yet, but it had temperatures even cooler. How about the NAM Nest? Let's take a look. What does it say? Oh, it's 6Z. Does it have 12Z? Oh, this could be it. This could be where they're getting the first numbers at. And we have only 25% of it in. Let's see what it says for temperatures. It doesn't go out to 30. Oh, it doesn't have enough on it. It does show us in the low 80s, which is warmer than it had been, but it only goes out to tomorrow morning so far. So of the models that we have here, why it's showing 93 tomorrow, I don't know yet. I don't know which one of the main models we show. Maybe it's something else, right? Maybe it's the RAP, which I don't even know what the RAP is off the top of my head. Let's see what it says for tomorrow. And it only goes out to 9Z tomorrow, so it's not going out too far yet, right? This is a short-range model. Let's see what it says for today, 82, 83, 84. So there you go. We're going to push up towards 85 again today. So very warm scenario setting up, and even warmer possibly at times. Let's take a look at a couple of these other. What's the Gefis model? I don't need that. I need, it's going to show me a lot of things I don't want to look at, unfortunately, on this one. Convective. Oh, I did want to go to one thing and show you guys some stuff here. Let's go to the NAM real quick. I think the NAM will show it at least enough on this picture. And we can go to different heights in the atmosphere. And I don't think you guys can quite see it on here, but it's got a list of information I can pull up right over here. And when I first started in weather, we just worked with layers of the atmosphere, and then we had to try to figure it out, right? We didn't have all these extra helpers here to help us with this. So one of the first things they taught us was to go to like the 300 millibar to look for the jet stream. Well, this one has listed 250 millibar and shows me wind speed and relative humidities. I can get separated on this, right? So I'm going to click that on there. Here it comes up. There's the wind speed. All right. Now I want to go out a little wider. Let's see if we can get a bigger sector on this. Right. That's that one. Right. Okay. That's the same one. Let's see if we can get the big sector of the contiguous United States of these Americas. Okay. So we've been talking about a high in the lower atmosphere, right? In the lower atmosphere. This is what I'm talking about. The high has been over here, right? But why is the high right here? Okay, you have to tell yourself, why is that high right over here? And why is everything bulging this way with the high? Well, this is ridging out into this section here and into this section right up in here, right? So what do we have? We have a curly Q around it, right? That's where your jet stream is right now. It's pushed way up into Canada, circles down along the East Coast. These folks been getting some really good weather, and then circles its way back out, makes a hard, sharp turn and moves back out over the Atlantic, right? Now, most of the years, I would say June, we're getting close to the summertime periods. Your jet stream's going to be up in here somewhere, wandering around like this. But not this kind of thing where it starts here, comes up, goes up and around, right around there, okay? What does that look like to you guys? That looks like an omega symbol. The omega symbol looks like this, right? That's the omega symbol. Well, what does this look like to you? It's why they call it the omega block, right? All right, so there you go. That's why that's there. But that's where it is, at least early on. Let's take a look a little farther out here. This is today. Let's see our changes, right? Now, does the jet stay up here to the north a lot, which will allow some more warmer weather to get in? And are we actually seeing the subtropical jet down here to the south trying to move in, or even the tropical jet? So subtropicals, then you got the tropical, then you got the regular. We've got all kinds of jet streams. There's 3 or 4 of them between the equator and northern Canada, right? So what are we going to see here? We see this move along. What I see is this jet is to the north of us and continually keeps pumping a high pressure into us and warmer temperatures, good weather, generally speaking. But it changes over the weekend, right? We get an influx. We see another bulge, but look at this. This bulge over here is now showing us, look at that. We're getting a low pressure system in here in the upper atmosphere, and the upper atmosphere guides everything, right? So when we go back to where that omega was, right, that I drew in here, your guidance for all of your systems is like this. They want to follow this little road. This is not the little little yellow brick road, but it's where the systems want to go. Hence, yesterday, the omega block was a little more like this yesterday, right? So it had just a little bit more of a tilt. And we were seeing some weather trying to break the southern side of the omega and some of it trying to go up this side of it to get back into the jet, right? That's what we saw yesterday. Now they're going to break apart a little bit and become, kind of 2 different areas for the pockets. And let's see where the jet stays over the next few days. As we get into next week, Thursday, Friday, the jet's north of us, hence warm weather. Nothing's going to change it right now, right? That big swath that we saw on the chart of that low didn't do much, fell apart pretty quick. But now we have another big one coming in here over the Washington area, right? And this is late in the period. It's Saturday, June 6th, that low right there. Okay, so your jet is going right here, trying to go like this. It's going way up into Canada, though, right? And then it's trying to make a turn. And what we're taught is it's hard to make over 90-degree turn in the atmosphere. It's like a liquid. It's like a flowing thing, right? Some of it turns real easy, but most of it's like, oh, can't make it. Aunt Susie, just keep moving along. We're not going to make that turn right there, all right? And so it takes a while before that sets itself up. And with that, that's where we're going to be next week. Let's take a look at what the GFS says for farther out that time frame. So here we are, Saturday, June 6th, moving out. There's the low, kind of comes in, cuts across. There's the bigger low coming in, all right? Still, no effects on us. What do I still see? Big ridging. What's that big ridging going to lead to? Warm. It's going to lead to warm temperatures, all right? Warm temperatures. Because your jet stream is guiding all your systems out and around us, okay? So we continue on with that, and we go a little farther. You see the jet cutting across to our north, and then when is it going to break itself down? It just does not. We get into a summer routine, and our jet stream's farther to the north and kind of stays there. We don't see anything break off, come down, pull some systems down here like this, and we generally don't this time of the year. So the jet stream's setting itself up to the north of us, and we are going to be high and dry and start to turn into warm weather, and that's very typical for this time of the year. Let's go back to the current temperature, 72 degrees, high of 85 today. I am questionable of this mysteriously jumping up to 93, but 85 to 90 I definitely could see tomorrow, because that was the hottest day I had in store for us until we got to like the weekend and then next week, right? I'm still shooting for 11th, 12th, 13th for the first 90, but this could be, something could change. change. Maybe something I'll see in the charts later this evening will tell me about that, all right? So other than that, guys, going to come back out, show you my ugly mug. Well, why am I going to show you my ugly mug, everybody? Just because I wanted to say goodbye. It's already 10 o'clock. It's past 10. We've talked weather and heat and where things moved, and we've talked about cars, and we talked about a little bit of everything. We talked, why are the Cubs losing? Why do they keep losing after this weird 20 out of 23 games that they won? Now all of a sudden they lose about 15 out of 20. It's crazy. Makes us diehards, our hearts beat hard and rough when we see weather and things like that for the Cubs, okay? Oh, they'll get it back on track, though. They'll get it back on track pretty soon. I believe they called the other day. They need someone to throw for them. So that might be me. I might be starting pitcher pretty soon. I said I'm 60. I don't know if I can throw 60. So they said, come on, we need a pitcher. Everybody's getting hurt. All right, so that's it for today, Wednesday, June 3rd. Enjoy your nice, warm, beautiful, gorgeous day out there today, and enjoy your family. Keep them close, and just admire the blessings that God has poured out to you. We'll see you what time tomorrow? That is correct, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. See ya.